Today we have a ton of packages and tools to look through, and the reason I have so much today is because Canada's National Postal Service has been on strike, and a lot of the tools I ordered a little while ago haven't made it here yet. So I'm going to open them up on video and test them out and give you guys my first impressions of some of the new tools. So let's get started. Alright, so this first one, this is my Flux cleaner order. So this here is the Chemtronics Flux off. I haven't used any Flux cleaner yet, so I'm interested to try this stuff out, and we will be doing that in a separate video. But it looks like it comes with this little brush attachment that you pop on here. So yeah, interested to try that out. It's an aerosol one, but yeah, let's move on. All right, let's check this out. Oh yeah, I'm excited to try this. This is kind of stupid, but I really wanted to try this out after seeing it on Ali. So I have one of these little vacuum tools for BGA chips or just chips in general to pull them off the board after solder has liquefied. But I find having such a short handle on this thing makes it pretty useless. This thing has been largely useless to me every time I've tried using it. So this one caught my attention not only because it has a bigger handle, but this one actually is battery operated and has a little motor inside. I don't know how well this is going to work, but I figured it'd be fun to test on video with you guys if it is worth using this kind of thing. So we've got like a vent connector here, it looks like, as well as some smaller little tips, so we'll definitely try that because I do want to try the bent nozzle instead of just the straight one. It does feel a little plasticky, but let's see. Okay, so it's a AAA battery. Let me grab one of those. So I'll pop that in here. See how well this thing works. Very curious how much suction this actually has. Oh wow, okay. That actually picked up this entire plastic box. I was not expecting that to work. Whoa. That is kind of sick, actually. Look at that. Wait, let's see if it picks up. This is really heavy. Let's see if this... Dang. Okay, I'm impressed with this. This thing feels really cheap. I'm not going to lie, but I'm really impressed how much suction it has. It can pick up basically everything on my desk. It can pick up my, almost. That's a little bit heavy for it. But like, for a chip, that's gonna be no problem for a chip. I gotta try this with hot air now. Alright, I've got our trusty test PCB right here. And let's pull off one of these chips right here. So we'll just go for this one here. Alright, it should be liquefied by now. That's awesome. I forgot to keep it held. Let's try one more. As soon as you let go, it just removes the suction, of course, so. That is so cool. That actually works extremely well. I'm actually quite amazed at like the strength of this thing given how it feels. I'm not too sure what the point of this little spring in the middle is. I think it might just be to prevent the suction cup from going too far down on the nozzle here. And yeah, still really great suction with the smaller one. Although with the smaller one here, it seems to be a little bit less powerful than the larger suction cup, but I probably will be using this with the larger one for like BGA chips, like really large BGA chips that I want to lift up, you know, more straight up versus accidentally moving components that are near the chips. But for a smaller component that needs this little size, you're not going to need that much strength at all to pull it off the board. Let me try the smallest one, see how this goes. Yeah, that works really well, actually. I like that a lot. I have to remember to hold it because I just keep dropping the chip right back on the board after I pick it up. Can try this inductor here too. This will be really nice for those situations where you have a lot of like tiny components around, like a QFN chip. It can be kind of tricky to pull those straight up with tweezers. So with this, it's going to be a really nice tool just to like pull things straight off the PCB and not disturb things around it. Just gotta remember to hold this button down longer. So yeah, this thing is definitely a W for me. I'm excited to start using that. It is a little pricey. It's like, you know, 30 bucks or something like that, which is on the high end for the build quality of it. But I have to say, I'm gonna be using this thing quite a bit. So we can pop this one back in here for now and move on to the next package. I think this one's an Ali order because it has 80 bags within bags within bags. I bet there's more bags in here. Yeah, there's a box. Oh, I'm really excited to try this thing out. So what this is a little probe tool. This is from Tool And as with any of my videos, if you're interested in any of this stuff and you want to support the channel, I'll have affiliate links to the items in the description. It's basically just this little pen here that grips onto these little ball-tipped probe things. So we can use the microscope here, and I'll show you what this is for. So again, this thing just sort of grips onto it, similar to like an X-Acto or something, and I'm really happy with how small that is. This is designed to be used with hot air on a PCB. Instead of dealing with like a soldering iron on points that are difficult to get solder to stick to, like FPC pads. I'll actually grab a PCB to show you real quick. Okay, so here's a pretty good example on a switch donor board. Here we have some FPC pads. I don't actually personally have issues with FPC pads, and this is not why I bought this, but I'm going to use this to show you what it's for. I actually got this for the purposes of multi-layer trace repair, similar to the failed kamikaze repair I did on that switch motherboard recently. But just to show you, I'll grab some solder paste on the tip of this thing. The point of this is to be able to spread solder evenly across pads without having to use your iron. So you use hot air along with it. I'll go ahead and melt the solder paste here. And you'll be able to sort of see what this is for. It's just to kind of catch all the solder paste from like going everywhere. And then you can spread it out instead of using your iron on the pads, and look how nicely it distributes that across pads. And you can see the solder sticks nicely to the little ballpoint probe. See how it works on larger pads. Seems to work really nice actually. So again, I probably won't use this for larger pads like this. But yeah, I mostly got this for things like trace repair, where I'm trying to get solder to stick to like a really tiny trace like this, especially when you need to dig into the board and it sort of has a bunch of substrate around it. Your iron becomes a little bit more useless, and you start to have to use your hot air a lot more in those situations. So that's really when it'll be super nice to have this tool. And you can see it comes with an extra little vial of tips here. So you get 3, and you can buy extras of these as well. So this box kind of got a little bit demolished. I'm not too sure what this is. Oh, nice, cool. So this is a capacitor discharger, and I've got even more probes now. I wanted to buy one of these that sort of like gives you the measurement of the voltage at the same time as discharging caps. So if you're working on like power supplies and things, you can discharge big dangerous caps in a safe way. And I don't have to keep switching between using, a resistor to bridge the cap and my multimeter to test whether or not it's fully drained. And these are just sort of like normal multimeter probes. So I've got a little 63 volt cap here we could test this with really quick. So I'm just gonna give this thing a charge. So I just charged the cap to like 30 volts, and let's see if it actually shows anything. Oh yeah, there you go. You can see it just went down from 30 to 0, and now it's fully drained. So it's nice to be able to sort of visually see the cap drain and feel safe about working on whatever you're working on after. And it comes with these little clips that I hate. These are like these little clips that attach onto the probes, and they never actually stay on. These also add a lot of resistance to your leads, which is kind of annoying sometimes. But glad to have one of those. Let's move on. What have we got here? Oh yeah, so these are just some extra little squeeze bottles, similar to the one I use for alcohol. I wanted a few of these for maybe trying the different flux cleaners, because I think the flux cleaners that I'm gonna like are the ones that are like liquid instead of aerosol. And I'll be able to pop them in a container like this. And I just wanted some that were opaque to help prevent evaporation. So it looks like this goes like this, and this just sort of goes on here like this. And I also wanted to see if these were a little bit more leak proof than this one I have here. It kind of leaks a little bit. I could put a lot of pressure on this and no air comes out, and then now air comes out. So pretty nice. I'm excited to use these for some flux cleaner, and having colored ones is going to be nice so I don't get confused between alcohol and the flux cleaner. Unfortunately, it looks like this cap doesn't like fit on with the needle on it. Maybe this will fit on here. Oh yeah, that actually works really well. So you just pop that on there and then use it, because I mostly want to prevent evaporation. So that actually works really great. I'm gonna keep the needle cover for these. Honestly, I cannot remember what I got. It's been a little while. So first up, we got this little glass alcohol bottle. I've been meaning to pick up one of these glass ones because I want to compare it with the plastic one I have. So I've had this one for a long time, which I really like. This is the mechanic one. I wanted something that was maybe a little bit heavier, and I wanted to try a bit of a different sort of dispenser than this here. So this one has a lid, little plastic lid you can put on it. I probably won't use that, to be honest. Oh, and nice. I'm really glad. I was worried this was going to be difficult to push down, but it's just as easy as this one here. So super nice. You could totally use a Q-tip in it and push down with a Q-tip without bending your Q-tip up, no problem. This dispenser seems like pretty over-engineered, to be honest, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Let's throw the alcohol in here and see how well this thing works. Also with my alcohol, it's nice to see how much I have left, because sometimes if it's sitting for a while, it will sort of go down the tube here, and I'll have to press it a bunch, and I won't know until I pick it up and shake it if there's some in here. So I'll probably have to do this a couple times to get alcohol to come up, but there we go. That's super nice. And it's got this little pool of it that just sort of sits there, similar to this. So I'm really happy with this actually. And since I also use this to clean my mat, I want to see sort of how nice it is to use with the clean room wipes, because I use the clean room wipes all the time to wipe down my mat. And that works great actually. Overall, really happy with this thing. I think I'll definitely start using this for my alcohol, and I'll find a use for this for sure. I might prefer something like this for Flux cleaner to this, so maybe I'll pop my Flux cleaner in here and in here depending on how I want to dispense it, similar to my alcohol. You know, sometimes I want to use it in a bottle like this, and sometimes I want to use it in a dispenser like this. Let's see what else we have in here. So we've got a JBC tip. So this is the first genuine JBC tip I've ever bought. This is for a C210 iron. And of course I got the knife tip. So we will be testing this out in a separate video. I got some little adapter opener spray. This is going to be nice for when I need to open things that are just sort of like sealed with glue. It'll be nice to have this kind of thing. Let me see if I can find an adapter so that we can try that with it. Wow, that comes out really quick. And we can go ahead and let that sit for a minute like it says and look at the next thing. So the last thing in here is this, which I'm actually excited to try. Oh man, that stuff definitely smells really strong. It smells like penetrating oil. So this is a little aluminum plunger from Mechanic, and I've seen these floating around quite a bit and never tried one out. Looks like it comes with a needle, which is interesting. And this little thing looks like it screws on here. And this does feel machined really nicely. So this probably screws on here. And then you should be able to pop this on like a tube of Flux. And I'm curious if this is going to be a nice fit. No. So this doesn't really have like that nice of a fit, at least on this plunger. I've got a few different types of syringes here that we can try this with. And again, same thing with the Kelly shin here. Just kind of like it falls out. I'm sure I could put like a little O-ring or gasket on here. But so far on all of these, this just sort of, especially on the sturdy one, it has a little bit of a larger opening. This kind of just falls out. Maybe if I just pop a little additional layer of Kapton tape around this thing, it'll fit in a little bit nicer. And yeah, already that's just so much better. Like this is not coming out now. So just a bit of tape seems like it'll do it. And it is a nicely machined little plunger, so I think I will like using it. Like, yeah, this is nice to use. So with a little bit of help from some tape, it seems to work well. I don't know. It would have been nice if it came with a little like gasket or something. Oh, okay. I actually don't know if that had any glue on it before that screw was in there, to be honest. I don't see any like glue residue. We could try this again on this adapter. It looks like this one has a seam around here, and I'm betting that's where this thing opens from. So we can try same kind of thing. Just sort of let this sit, and we can move on to the next thing. We've got more packages inside packages. And what is this? Aha, okay, cool. So this is actually not stencils, but this is rather a little chip holder. So I tried buying something like this before, but it didn't quite end up working the way I wanted it to. So I got this. It's just sort of this chip holder, and it works really great in here for specific sizes of chips. But if the chips aren't perfectly square, it's not what I was looking for. So for example, you have these like little stencils for small chips that are direct heated. And if I try to use a chip holder like this, it's gonna be super small and way down in there. And I won't be able to use this stencil really down in there to get it to touch the chip. So I bought this thinking that this would be a little bit closer to the top, but I have the same problem with this. Like this is way too far in there. Whereas over here on this side, it actually works really great because the chip is generally going to be taller than the little lip here. But again, this only works really well for square chips and not other chip sizes. So I got this, which looks a little bit more promising. And it's one of these ones where you just sort of like move this magnetic thing and put the chip sort of in the corner. So I'm not going to reball anything right now, but we can try this out with some Switch QFN packages here just to see how well it holds them. And these are the kinds of things that are a bit too small for the other holder I was showing you. Seems to grip it nicely. I guess this sort of will go side to side like this. But yeah, I mean, this seems like it's going to be holding this in place plenty enough to you know, do reballing. Obviously, I'm not going to reball a QFN package, but yeah, I thought I'd try this out since it's like nice and magnetic and seems to be more designed for tiny chips like this. All right, let's try to get this out now. Whoa, that actually worked extremely well. Look at that. I'm impressed with that. Look, you can see clearly on this one, there is some adhesive, and it ate through that adhesive real quick. So that stuff's going to be really nice for opening stuff like this. I'm sure you can use all kinds of stuff, you know, like some low heat or something like that. It does seem to leave a little bit of a mark. Let's see if we can clean that or if that's just sort of permanent. Oh, that actually cleans up. That actually cleans up nicely. So maybe that wasn't actually damage to the plastic itself and just sort of some residue. Yeah, that comes off. So that's nice that it doesn't really like damage the plastic at all, at least this plastic. Definitely a +1 for this stuff. All right, we got this here, which again is more packages in a package. Oh, cool. I know what this is. So this is the tip thermometer I ordered. Comes with some extra little thermocouples. And here's the little unit here. I think it's just a clone of an existing one. Looks like it's a Hacko clone or something. We do have some English instructions as well. And I do have to find a 9-volt, which I think I have. Oh, I see. So this is just to hold the sensor in there. I think we got to put one of these little guys on. So it looks like this goes on like this. And then this sort of just tensions it like that. All right, we got a temperature reading there now. And here's the moment of truth. We're going to see how accurate my C245 and C210 tips are. And I do not think they're going to be accurate if I were to guess. I've never calibrated this thing. I've just sort of gotten used to certain temperatures. Let me see if I'm supposed to use solder with this. Okay, yeah, it does say to wet the iron tip before measuring it. So we'll go ahead and do that. This will probably help it get a more accurate reading. So I have this thing set to 425, and yeah, we're a little bit under. This is sort of what I was expecting, was about like 25 Celsius under. We're actually only about like 17 Celsius under the set temperature. And I'm not surprised, especially with these sort of smaller tips that I use, that they don't actually get up to the temperature my iron is at. So I'll save the rest of testing this for a separate video along with that JBC tip. I want to see sort of how consistent these tips are compared to the JBC tip. You can see they give Hacko sensors. I don't know if these are real Hacko K-type sensors, but it's a K-type sensor. So, and it looks like it has some extra little functions here, like holding the temperature or seeing what the max temperature is. I honestly do not remember what this is, and we're about to find out together. Ah, yes. Okay. So, I have been on the lookout for some different titanium tweezers, and I want to try a bunch of different ones. These two kinds that I've used so far I've really enjoyed, and I wanted to sort of branch out and try a few more, but I horribly destroyed the other one of these that I had, and this one is already really bent up, and I just use these as junk tweezers now to scrape traces and things. Still really useful, but I just wanted to give a few different other kinds of titanium tweezers a shot. I found I really enjoy these best tweezers because they're extremely sharp, but they're not too sharp, so they don't bend as easy as these did. These are really sharp, but the problem is they do sort of bend extremely easy, so you have to be really careful with them if you want to keep them nice. So I got a bent and a straight one from Ma here. These actually seem very similar to the best ones here. They just don't open as far, which is actually going to be kind of nice for like O201 caps or resistors. In terms of sharpness, they seem extremely similar. Best ones maybe are a tiny bit sharper, but I really like sort of how at rest. You can see on both of these tweezers, I'm not squeezing them at all. And the Ma ones on the right are smaller, so they're also way easier to press together than these. You have to press a little bit harder on these, and these you have to press barely at all to push them together. So you can kind of see what I mean there with them on the bench. And then here's going to be the straight ones. And same thing with those. You can see those are a little bit smaller and again, really easy to press together. So I'm actually really glad I picked these up because I'll probably end up using these for different things than these. They're a very similar size, but these in particular are going to be extremely nice for O201 components because you won't have to press as hard when holding them. And when it's easier to press the tweezers together, it's easier to hold a smaller component with a more specific amount of force. You're not going to like snap the cap across the room with these. Whereas with these, you might be pressing a little harder than you think. You get more feedback with tweezers that are easier to press together like this. So, you know, if I'm grabbing an O201 cap like this, because the tweezers are already close together and they're easy to press down, I actually have quite a bit of feedback right now on how much force I'm putting on that cap. Like this M92 chip, for example, is really nice with these best tweezers, but with the Mayan ones, they actually don't even open enough to grab that chip. You'd have to sort of force them open a bit more, which I'm not going to do because I do like the size of these for smaller components like this. And this is kind of nice because it looks like it has some little spots for your fingers to grip the tweezers if you need to be a bit farther away from the tweezers when you're using hot air. This grip up here is going to be nice to be able to keep my hand far away from the board, but still have control over how much I'm squeezing the tweezers. So yeah, I honestly bought these thinking they were going to be pretty similar to these, and I just wanted to sort of compare them, but I'm happily surprised that I'll probably end up using these for different purposes than these. I also wanted to show you guys this thing here that I just got, which is a amp meter. It's a bit of a different kind than the one I had. I say had because this USB-C port here, or the USB-C connector here, actually started pulling itself off of the PCB. So you can see this thing like moves around a bunch and traces ripped, and I didn't want to bother fixing this thing because it's just going to keep happening because I use this thing all the time. So it's always going to be applying pressure to this port. So that's one of the reasons I grabbed this one in particular, is because it has a wire instead of that USB-C being directly embedded in the plastic body. So I don't have to worry about putting as much strain on, number one, this or the device that I'm testing. And it's actually the exact same interface on here, which I really like the interface, and I got used to it, so I didn't want to get a different one. So I'm really glad that it's actually the exact same UI as this one, but I just get the benefit of having this part on a cable. So yeah, nothing special, just a normal amp meter. I've also got this here, which is just another component book similar to the binder that I got, actually the exact same thing as the binder I got for resistors, but this one is for capacitors. So we just have a bunch of different O201 cap values, and we have 50 of each. So this is just really nice to have like random values of resistors or caps that you need, especially for the O201 components. I decided to pick some of these up, but I'll definitely have to label which one's which because they look exactly the same. So yeah, there's everything I got. I would say this thing here is easily the winner for me today. This thing is really cool. I wish it just felt a little bit better. It just is super plasticky, but definitely works as intended. So I'm excited to start using that. And this alcohol dispenser is actually really nice as well. I wasn't expecting to like this as much as I do. But yeah, again, I'll have links to all this stuff in the description if you're interested. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.